All right, this video is called Rich Habits to Create Wealth in Your 20s. So I'll just tell you right away that this is done by someone that looks like he's in his 80s. So I can't wait to see what he's going to tell you to do in your 20s, because that was probably back in 1940 when he was in his 20s. So let's find out these super secret tips to create wealth if you are in your 20s. Here we go.
If I were starting over in my 20s with no money or assets, here are the top 3 things I would do to get started in investing. Number 1, I would open a TD Ameritrade or an E-Trade account and immediately start putting in $25 to $100 a month and invest in index funds. I like VOO, VGT, and SLYV. Number 2, I would open a Fundrise account so I could start investing in real estate immediately. You can start with as little as $10 and I would add to this account immediately. This is a great place to get into real estate with very little money. And number 3, and this one is great, I would open an Acorns account. I love this app because you can set it to round up all of your little purchases. Then it invests that money immediately. I personally would set it to moderate risk. These are 3 great ways to get started with little money. Okay, so we have the plan. Let's go.
All right, so he starts off this video saying, if I had no money or assets, and then he goes on to tell you what to do with money. So from sometime between second 1 and second 4, he must have figured out how to magically generate some money, because now he's telling you what to do with money. So one of the big glaring issues with this video is he totally skips over the first 3 steps to get to this step. And the first step is you have to generate some income. Okay, so let's say that we're not going to deal with his premise, which is I have no money or no assets. You have to have some money for the rest of these steps to work. Okay, so let's say you've got some money, you're spending less than you generate. That's step 2, right? So you're spending less than you're making, which means you've got some leftover money. That's the one very important thing he doesn't say. You have to have leftover money to even entertain these ideas that he's talking about. So here we go. Let's pretend that you have leftover money, and now let's follow his advice if he were 20 years old. He says the very first thing is to go set up a TD Ameritrade and E-Trade or E-Trade account, which is interesting. I wonder if he's being sponsored by either of those companies, because there are literally tens and tens of custodians that you can go set up an account with. The key is making sure you set up an account with somebody that doesn't charge commissions on trades and doesn't have account opening fees or account closing fees. TD Ameritrade is fine, E-Trade is fine, but so is Fidelity, so is Schwab. There's all kinds of other ones out there. Okay, so in general though, I agree. Go open what he's calling is a brokerage account. Go open a brokerage account by yourself. Okay, then he says put $25 to $100 a month in this. So we have to assume that you have $100 a month left over in your budget. Put $100 a month into index funds. Okay, I don't disagree with index funds. Index funds are a great way for you to invest on your own without any advice from anybody else and just track the markets. And if you have a long time horizon, like 40 years, if we assume you're 20 years old and you're not going to stop making income till you're 60, you've got a pretty long time horizon, you're fairly safe to put it into index funds and just ride the market. There will be some years you're up, some years you're down, but overall, you should get a fairly decent return. But let me drill down into his number just a little bit, because remember, this video talks about how he would be wealthy if he had to do it all over again at age 20. Let's assume he says $25 to $100 a monthly deposit. Let's say it's $100. Let's take the max that he wants to put in. If you put in $100 a month for 40 years, and make 8% interest, which is what you'll make over time on the market, you'll end up with $322,000 by the time you're 60. If you adjust that for inflation, that money's really only worth, in today's dollars, about 200 grand. 200 grand in retirement is not wealthy at all. That might allow you to spend $15,000 to $18,000 a year, maybe, from that pile of money in your retirement. So I don't know how he's gonna get wealthy on $100 a month. In fact, I will tell you, he's not going to get wealthy, and neither are you, on $100 a month. Okay, let's move on to step 2. Step 2, he says, put money into Fundrise. Fundrise is a way for you to invest passively into real estate. And he says, put in $10 a month. Again, $10 a month, you just heard the math on 100. So $10 a month is not going to get you very much, regardless of whether it's in real estate or whether it's in TD Ameritrade in the markets. So I wouldn't even go through the hassle of setting up a Fundrise account if you're truly going to put in $10 a month. It will make no difference in your retirement account at the end of the road if that's the kind of money you have to work with. Let's wait. Let's figure out how to generate more income, and then we can talk about investing in real estate and other alternative assets. And then 3, he wants you to open an Acorns account. Now, in my early years, I actually loved this account. So the Acorns allows you to invest and not really think about it. So if you spend $1.20 on, well, hell, I don't know what you can spend $1.20 on anymore. But let's say you spend $4.80 on a cup of coffee. Acorns will take the additional 20 cents and round you up to $5. You're not really going to notice that in your budget, but they'll take that 20 cents on that transaction and they'll throw it into an investment account. I really like this if you have a hard time budgeting and a hard time putting money into your investment account. I do like this. But what he doesn't tell you is it's awfully expensive. It's an expensive platform to use if you're putting in pennies every transaction. If you know how to set aside money and you can budget well, then you should put that money into your brokerage account and you don't need to use Acorns. Acorns is for folks that don't know how to do it themselves and otherwise wouldn't put money into retirement accounts. If it takes rounding up to put pennies on every transaction into a retirement account for you, then fine, use Acorn. But if you could do it yourself, don't use it, it's too expensive. I'm Charles Trular. See you next time.